Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Growth Experiment. Oh, actually, wait, I lied. Hold on. I got the wrong headset. They ain't gonna be able to hear you. And where's the black shark? Say something?
What up? What up? What up?
All right, we in there. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Growth Experiment podcast with Mom 92.
And Five Stash.
It's been a minute, y'all. It's been a minute. A lot been going on, though. A lot has been going on. We've been gaming still. Some people been doing things they ain't supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? But hey, it's all gonna come together. So today, I want to talk about pretty much what's going on in the gaming community. Uh, we got all these new games coming out, but most of them aren't coming out to the middle, maybe later on this year. But I mean, this year is the year. We're gonna have Street Fighter Six, Tekken 8, hopefully Project L. What else?
Possibly MK12.
12. I mean, we got a lot going on this year. And in your mind, right? The games that don't have sequels that we know about anyway, what's going to survive? You know what I'm saying? What's going to still do something with these games on top? Because if you ask me, I think people still play. So there's never going to be like, oh, nobody's going to play. But I think it's almost dead for a lot of these
So
games.
I'm actually gonna refrain from answering that too deeply
Okay.
right now. We'll get to that a little bit later, but I think with the direction that everything's going, people are starting to show a little bit more appreciation for the fun factor slash hype that a game can bring to the table than in the past, like before COVID. I think before it was kind of like the new is what's in, and that was just kind of accepted as law. Like the numbers for example, for MVCI were never what they were for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, But yes, we'll dive into that later. I don't think it's just dead. I think that right now what the FGC is experiencing is a reconstruction phase,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it's kind of like a are we gonna be esports kind of thing. And if it's going to be esports, what do we want representing the front line? It's no longer, oh, since this is the latest version, this is what's in. I feel like I think it's a little deeper than that.
Okay.
So they aren't just dead, but it is going to be up to the community to really step up and be like, this needs to be at the forefront. Not we don't have to leave it in the hands of the developers to say we want this on the Evo main stage, or we want this on we want to have a pro tour for this game. This is like, with the era of Twitter and TikTok, just social media in general, being able to push a lot and having people who aren't familiar with it see the amount of support a community is giving to it. I think that's enough to really, really influence what survives and what dies.
Mm-hmm. And just to clarify, like, I do think that, for instance, let's say Guilty Gear Strive 2 or whatever they want to call it comes out next. I don't think people aren't going to play it because of these games that are out. But it seems like some of these games will almost need a good overhaul, like a good redo, you know what I mean, to Strive and what's about to happen. Like it's about to be ridiculous. The way Street Fighter 6, without even playing it, the way that it looks, the way that they're telling us, and we're not even just telling us, we played the beta and we see what you can do, like the customization with your own character. I mean, they're putting it in where you can do my player, basically like NBA 2K, and go in there and be able to go into the city like Grand Theft Auto and challenge people on the street with your dude that you created. And the customization, y'all, it's ridiculous. You can do eyebrow placement. I mean, I see people with eyebrows on their stomach. Like, it's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like, now some stuff is a little too far, but it's cool though. You can do whatever you want. Like, it's ridiculous. And that's just like a piece of it. And then Tekken 8, I'm not even, I like Tekken, it's cool, but I've never said I'm a Tekken player. But that game, it just looks crazy good. And it's like,
Yeah.
man, like what we're coming into in general seems very, very good. The things that people that they're doing now, the companies, I don't MK12, I need to see that to say everybody's on board.
Yeah, and I will say this. I feel like it's very, very collective.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of these fighting game companies, like the developers, around the 2014 2014 to 2018 era, they're basically 2018 is when MK11 came out, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that during that time they were really like accessibility is key. We want to make these games simpler so that everyone feels like I can pick this game up and be good at it. And it's cool to a degree, but I feel like it was also a learning phase because accessibility is amazing, but I think they realized how stagnant it got for a lot of people. You know,
Yeah.
like competitors weren't staying in for the entire duration of the fighting games like it was. Like look at Street Fighter 4. You know, when the game was dying, you saw the top players competing in like the last tournaments that the
Yeah.
game had because there was a love for the game and the expression it allowed you to bring to the table versus a game like Street Fighter 5 where you have the final Capcom Cup where the payout is the biggest payout in Capcom at the time and you know all due respect Minardi won
Well, all
all due
right.
respect
Yeah, I'll do.
all
I'll
due
do. I'll
respect.
do.
I'm
Respect.
just saying, like you didn't. There were a number of people who were like, well, you know, 6 months before Capcom Cup, they're like, just I'll just give my best at last chance qualifier. Like you have all these chances to try to qualify, but
Yeah.
you're just like LCQ or I'm good. Like
So,
huh?
yeah, yeah. He's like, nah. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I mean, when a game, for Street Fighter 6, just looking at what we've seen, it's hard for me to see, like you said, Street Fighter 4, but they were still playing. It's hard for me to see that they won't still be playing this one because it seems like it's almost everlasting. For basically, what I'm trying to say is to master this game, I feel like it would take longer than the game's going to last, or than the game longer than the game will be Street Fighter 6 before Street Fighter 7. I think there's a lot to it, which I really like, and it's just so much you can do, and it's just amazing. Like, yo,
And I think what makes that happen, and this is more of a very this is very technical, but it's just the fact that the a lot of the ways that people are going to be able to express themselves in Street Fighter 6 is going to
yes,
come from mechanics that every single character on the roster has. So it's like even if you're playing someone low level, you can still get blown up if you don't know how to deal with this.
yep,
And so I think that keeps the game fresh, you know, from pools to grand finals because you can't sit down next to a random and just write them off. You can't like in Street Fighter 5, you could climb to diamond by doing nothing but meaties and anti-airing
yeah,
because there was no way to really you had to respect. This game is basically saying, "Oh, you can disrespect, but if the person knows how to deal with the disrespect, you'll still get blown up." And I
yep,
feel like that's going to make it kind of like it's just going to add that excitement to it from a
hmm
much earlier stage and it's going to carry like you said it's going to everlasting I think is a good word you like this game could die let's say Street Fighter 8 is out people could look back at Street Fighter 6 and be like man that was a great era or a great Street Fighter
yes.
period because man, it was just cool to watch from the beginning while people were learning, and once they got it down, like whether it slows down or speeds up, it's just gonna be like, dang, that was
Yeah.
really cool. It was deep, and people got it, and they were dealing with it, and it was sick. So yeah, I'm with
And
you
yeah,
there.
and I think, and that's what I'm saying. Like even when it gets to that point, I think there's more. There's more because, like you said, there's different avenues that you can go down. You know, one person may play like this, but another person can play like this, just because of these mechanics, these simple little mechanics that they put in there. Well, not even just simple, but they put what drive rush, drive impact, drive parry, and drive reversal.
Yeah,
And with
over.
all that, you can do so many different things. You could say, man, because like for instance, example, y'all, a character may have something that just looks crazy. You're like, oh my god, that's wild as mess that he can do something like that. But there's an answer to it. Everybody has the answer. You know, and if it's a drive parry, everybody has it. If it's a drive impact, everybody has it. So you might go look at some of these characters, and I've seen some of these characters, and it does like, wow, man, that's kind of ridiculous. But it's not really ridiculous when you dive into it because they're doing that, but you're able to do something about it with everybody. So that's amazing. And I almost think that with that game, the tier list is going to be determined, and you're gonna have to add mechanics in there. Because yeah, this character may be doing this, but if everybody's pairing it, is he really good? You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah.
But see, I'm glad you said that because that's going to be one of the beautiful things about the game.
Hmm.
We've already heard slash seen a lot of feedback on Drive Impact. I'm just going to pick on that because we've talked about it on
Yeah,
the podcast
and,
before.
and that's a big
But
one.
yeah, it costs one drive gauge. It's like it's cheap if you actually hit them with it. It's so rewarding, but like I don't know. I don't know. It's like
And it punishes a lot of neutral. Like a lot of people don't like it because it punishes a lot of neutral beasts, like people that are really good at poking and what is it when you whip the normal and then you start the special up buffering.
yes,
They're good
yes,
at they're good at that.
and even you know, just to address like what you were saying about the whole little mechanic thing. The game right now is catering like what you were saying. You put out a normal, you buffer into a special, and then Drive Impact would
Yeah, because
deal
you'll
with
drive it
that.
back into it, you'll touch their button and their special's already
Yeah,
pulled
and
out.
yeah, once that special comes out, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
There's no FADC like in Street Fighter 4 or anything like you've already committed. But it's going to force you to play in a certain way that says, well, this is going to be my safe approach in neutral,
Hmm.
and that's cool. But it is impossible for me to say that this game, like touching on the tier list thing,
Hmm.
it caters to grapplers. So
That's
I think
that's what
that
it looks like.
no, no, it's not. It's not what it looks like. That's what it is because what do you do against the throw? They've literally addressed everything. Meaty,
Nothing.
check. Drive impact, check. Like everything. Everything is
Yeah.
just okay, that's cool. I can deal with this. But what do you do against the throw? Like in my mind, for example, drive rush. You see it, put a button out that's going to beat it. What happens if they do an empty drive rush into a command grab?
Yeah.
Huh? You're just gonna eat it because you're expecting you don't put a button out.
Yeah, don't
Like
put
you
a
don't know
button
if you're gonna beat it. Well, you know, so I feel like the game is going to be very, very, very deep. It's going but if they add a mechanic that's going to make the game more interesting, I think it's going to be something to actually deal with the throw. And I don't know what you do about that. Like, what do you actually add?
To be honest, when before the game came out and I was looking at everything, and I said this before y'all, but I like if I was to say a style for me, I prefer zoning. I like to zone. I like to be able to have a zoner that has pressure as well, but I like to be able to sit back and not have to play the quote unquote the game and let people and you know what I'm saying. So I like that. I like that aspect, being able to stop things. Like for instance, if I was playing Street Fighter 6, you won't really see me use Drive Impact unless I'm using it for defense. And that's normally what I would do. I like to play where I have to stop everything type thing, not really enforce the wheel. If I could had to choose. So I thought by looking at the game when it first came out, my mind said, boom, I'm gonna try to look for something like that. And I thought watching everything that the game catered more to that. Now as the game has quote unquote developed, because we're not even day one, it's like, it doesn't now there's still some advantages, but it doesn't seem like as much as I thought it was. Grapplers, like you said, I can't really see it not being that. I agree. Like I be thinking, I look and I'm like, no, that seems like that's good. Okay, that seems like that's good. Where's the problem? Other than, you know, they can't just do that stuff. There are ways, but there's going to be some situations where it is a 50-50. And I
Yes,
see that. Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. And then going back, yeah, I think that I was trying to make a point earlier about the drive impact. Like, even though you said that, like you might think this character is strong, but if everybody is, like parrying it, then is that character really strong? The beauty of this game is really another beautiful aspect of this game because there's several is that not everyone is going to have the reactions to do this stuff consistently.
100%.
And I think making something like a parry, a perfect parry, so tight, in a 2 frame window, I believe, making it that tight rewards the people who are really, really nasty. And that's what I think the FGC is missing. Like,
Yes.
before it was kind of like everyone could pick up this character and do the exact same stuff and climb to the same rank, and it's kind of bland after a while. But now it's going to be like people are always going to be like, man, this guy was throwing all these sonic booms. This dude's just he's just perfect parrying everything,
Yeah.
everything. And you know, he does an upside down kick with Guile, perfect parried it every time. It's like not everybody will be able to do
No,
that. Even
no.
at the highest level, you're gonna have people who are gonna miss it, but you're also gonna have people who will get it every single time because they have reflexes like that and they're just that good. And that's not to say that they're invincible, but that means that they got that down.
Look at
And the
that down,
fact that
yeah.
you can be really good at one mechanic, like it can put you over the top. That's what we need. We need to see people shine because they have this talent. And it's just like it's better than everyone around them. So they're playing this character this way because they got it like this, and someone else can play the same character like this.
Yep.
And just because they're good at two different mechanics, it looks completely different. It's just as interesting, and it keeps it fun from start to end. So
And you know, example for what you just said would be MK11. As bland as people say MK11 is, and yada yada yada, I can't not look at Ninja Killer and says, "Yo, this is nasty. This stands out." You know what I mean? He makes it look like it's a different game when he plays, and it's like I go back and play, and I'm like, man, it's still bland. Then I go watch him, and I say, what is he playing? Mortal Kombat, 12, because he's doing stuff that is just ridiculous. And people are going to be able to do that regardless of the game. But it's cool now that we can see that already without the game even coming out, and somebody proving it to us that there's other things you can do. Street Fighter Five, there are a lot of good players. Me personally, I've never seen anybody that stood out to me like Ninja Killer stands out to me in Mortal Kombat 11. Like people are really, really good, but I'm not like, yo, oh my god, like that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like it's levels to it. And Street Fighter Five didn't really have that level to it, in my opinion, anyway. You know.
yeah, and I think that the first time it was really, really obvious was whenever we saw Daigo getting command grab looped, for example. That never happened to him in Street Fighter 4. It never happened to him in Third Strike. Why? Because the game was designed so that you could outplay any style somehow. And if you could outplay it, then Daigo was doing it. But in Street Fighter 5, it was really it lacked in, at least initially, in defensive mechanics that said, okay, I'll deal with it. And even whenever they introduced V-Shift to the game, people started playing around the V-Shift. And ultimately, that's what you're supposed to do. But I think the game would have been so much better if either there were invincible backdashes from the start or V-Shift was around from the start.
If V-Shift was around from the start, yes, it would have been a very, very different game, and it would have been definitely more fun.
Yeah, so you know, I don't think I ever saw a player that really showed a lot of separation from the other tops either. It was very, very close, and what made that really bad for me is that there were some people who were so far under the top in my view that were still competing with the top that I was like, huh? Like, why are they there? And you know, and another all due respect thing, but in our scene in season 1, we had a Rashid player who was dominating our SEBs, and now, granted, he beat me. Whenever I played him in season 1, he beat me pretty consistently. But every time I lost, I was kind of like, man, I can't believe I lost to that. You know, it wasn't like he beat me. I'm never gonna. If I lose, I lose. I'm not like a sore loser, but I'm like, dang, I must have been playing bad, like just super bad, because that shouldn't have worked. Then season 2 came out and he switched characters, and then I was bopping him. So it was like this is where my mind is, because he shouldn't be beating me like that. But I think just the way the game was designed, it stopped you from really getting too far ahead from anybody because the characters were limited. The gameplay itself was very, very limited.
Yeah, and it seemed like it didn't in the beginning anyway. Obviously, the game developed and got different, but it did seem like it didn't really cater to fundamentally sound people. Like it was just you really strong at fundamentals. It seemed like they had a crazy factor, kind of with V-Trigger with some characters, or like a easily, like you said, it was just too. It was too linear. It was.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
It was too linear. So y'all, we're gonna get back on Street Fighter 6. We can talk about that all day.
All day.
All day. I want to show y'all this picture right here. This is the Evo. What is it? 2023? Yeah, 2023 lineup. We have Street Fighter 6, Guilty Gear Strive, Dragon Ball Fighters, Tekken 7, KOF 15, Melty Blood Type Lumina, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Now we can talk. We can talk.
Now looking at this list, in your mind, name 2 games that you feel should not be here, and replace
Okay.
it with a game. You
Okay.
don't have to replace
So,
both.
so
Replace one, but
okay. So really quickly, when you say should not be here, are you saying should not be here like because I don't think it deserves to be here, or should not be here like I can't believe it got in?
you can do both.
Okay, because if that's the case, obviously I would say Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I can't believe it got in. Does it deserve to be there 100%? It does. Why? Because no matter how much people might have been trolling in chat about how, man, this game is garbage or whatever, anytime it wasn't Marvel, it was wins Marvel. And that's what we know. That's it. Wins Marvel. And the fact that it's back is exactly what motivated my answer from earlier. This is a game that I feel like the FGC is like, when it was around, it was just too good.
It's too good.
Then when it was gone, it was kind of like, like even whether you were sitting at home watching a stream from your from your computer or whatever, or if you were at the event, Marvel 3 wasn't there and it felt different. And I feel like the fact that they put that in there says, we want to bring games that bring the hype. We want to put games in that we know are fun, that are going to be well received. So definitely that's one of them. And then the other one, obviously, I gotta go with it. No disrespect, Melty Blood. What are you doing on that list? Get off. And for the community, if the community is watching this podcast, you guys are awesome. I think the game is great. I think it's fun to watch. But all due respect, there are so many games that were ahead of it. B, like I don't even want to go through the letters. Let's like sorry DNF Duel. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. I kind of want to say Grand Blue. I can understand Grand Blue a little bit. I feel like that was just it got messed up by the timing, like with COVID and everything. So I'm not gonna go too hard on that. But definitely DNF. I feel like DNF has been beasting, and the fact that it didn't get on the main. I'm not mad, but why Melty Blood? Like,
yeah, it almost makes you wonder who decides on this. Like, what did y'all do to decide this?
yeah, because it almost feels random. It really feels random. I saw everything else makes sense, but I see Melty Blood, and I'm just kind of like, did they run out of options? Did they not? Did a company step in and say, like, you can't do this? And, I'm actually okay with Smash not being on there.
Yeah, Smash can't anymore, because of
all the stuff. But like, I'm just like, even that being gone, I don't feel like I'm missing anything from Evo Finals Day. But seeing Melty Blood on there, I feel like affects me more negatively than not seeing a Smash. Like, it's just weird.
I would watch all these games, and the least 2 for me would be like Melty Blood for sure, and I'm not really into KOF like that, right? Now KOF should be here 100%, but I'm not really into it like that for me to say, man, Finals Day, I gotta watch that, right? But it's realistically just Melty Blood. Like, what? I'm really confused by that. So last year they did Skullgirls, and Skullgirls was good. They had a lot of numbers, this and that, yada yada yada. And I would see even Skullgirls over Melty Blood because I don't even see anybody like, maybe they're trying to revive it. I don't know. But it's like, why is Melty Blood? It really is just random.
I think so. I know you said KOF 15. If I had to choose another game, like this might be controversial. I don't know, because I loved Dragon Ball Z growing up, but I almost feel like Dragon Ball FighterZ has gone through so many quote unquote overhauls and changes, and like players have stopped playing, I almost feel like that's the next game for me because I've kept up with KOF, so I'm kind of like I want that to be there. But Dragon Ball FighterZ, I feel like they need a new one. They need to basically come out with what you were saying about Guilty Gear, maybe just like a Dragon Ball FighterZ 2.0 or some kind of saga, whatever, and just redo the game and bring it back to life. Because the state that it's in right now, I don't get the same enjoyment watching it as I used to, like, the first 3 years it was out, because I used to be on that.
And see, the biggest difference, like, Dragon Ball FighterZ, it's hard not to put it up here, though, because the amount of players that's still playing it. Like, there's still a lot of people playing it. France is big on it. The USA is big on it. And the fact that they put money into it now, going into it. It's hard. Like you're gonna get a lot of players back. I feel like, but I do feel like, out of the current gen of fighting games, I feel what you're saying. I do. They definitely need a new game. 100%. It's been too long. The difference between Guilty Gear and Dragon Ball FighterZ though is Guilty Gear, man, it's just started pretty much. Like what is it, like 2 years?
Yes.
So they can't really make,
season
yeah,
two,
so they
yeah.
can't really make a new game, and that sucks for them because I do feel like they need a new game to
Well, they
survive
do.
in 2023, 2024, and so on.
100%. And I mean, that's another. I feel like Guilty Gear Strive is the most recent example of trying to target accessibility on release. And even though it's like, you do have a lot of people playing it, from a lot of different areas. You have
And
like
they're
Punk,
still going
IDOM.
to.
Yeah. It's not like the game is bad, but it shows why making a game quote unquote easier is detrimental to its lifespan, because that's what happened with MK11, that's what happened to Street Fighter 5, and that's really what's happening to Guilty Gear Strive. You made it so that when you get someone in a corner and you keep hitting them, they're going to reset neutral. That's silly to me. Like whenever you sit down and think about it, now people have come up with ways around it, and they just all it does is prove how oppressive the corner should be in a fighting game, because spacing should be something that fighting game competitors really focus on whenever they're playing their neutral. It's got to be, if I keep backing up, I have to realize I'm actually losing space. What am I going to do to make sure I don't give up so much that my options are limited? That's got to be something in someone's mind. But this is literally, man, he's bopping me. Let me hurry up and get back to the wall so that he breaks it, and then I'm back in the middle of the screen. Like, that's how I feel when I'm fighting against like Milia or certain characters. I'm like, just go ahead and wall break. I'm good. And I feel like when you start doing stuff like that, eventually people are going to be like, oh, this just isn't my kind of game. Because I have respect for people who I can put in a corner and they can fight out. I like, even if I lose it, it's on me. And I can lose something and be like, you know what, props to you. You handled that situation well. But in a game like Guilty Gear or, Street Fighter 5, Mortal Kombat 11, I feel like, like the game rewarded for nothing. Like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I can only play it for a certain amount of time before I'm done.
No. And even in Injustice 2, like, Injustice 2 on some stages it did reset neutral. Right? Like you knock through the stage and do all that. But it didn't feel as bad as Guilty Gear. It still felt good, like fun. You know what I mean? And maybe it was because of like when you knock them through, they bumping their heads in the bathroom sinks and all that. So it was like, that's cool. And then it probably brought, like, because it was a lot of nostalgia too. Like Superman, Batman, all that.
It's true.
Yeah, but Melty Blood, it really is kind of the main one. Well, not kind of, it is the main one. And I kind of wish that, once again, like you said, happy for their community. I know they loving it. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. I'm good. I'm on the top left. I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
Same here.
Yeah. But just talking about the lineup, yeah. Now Marvel 3, man. Marvel 3 is just going to be. That's the one I'm most excited to watch. And then what is it? Let me look. It's the oldest one up here. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And this is the one I'm most excited to be watched because these folks, I'm talking about people that you haven't seen, right? And it's going to happen for Street Fighter, but I don't care. For Marvel, it's about to be stupid. People
there's a big difference between people you've never seen from a game that was around. Like think about what pools are going to look like whenever you have a pool with, let's say, Chris G and like, we'll say 7 people he's never heard of, but these folks have been grinding the game just because they're like, and like you're about to have explosive pools, explosive top 128, explosive top 64, like just because, like. The game has had so much time to develop tech. It's developed beasts in its community even after the game died. It's like we're about to see something possibly that's unreal. And the only game in the history of Evo that's really done that, in my opinion, is Smash Bros. Melee, because they kept it going for so long. I feel like doing it with a game like Marvel is going to be a billion times more exciting. And then to add on to that, you're recently seeing new tech. Whether it's great tech or not doesn't matter. You're seeing new tech for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom.
Day.
every single day. Why? Because that game is up here on this top 8 lineup, and
Hmm.
I think this is going to be amazing for the community. I think it's going to be eye opening. I think people are going to start realizing we want to watch games that are fun to watch. We don't
Yeah.
want to necessarily watch the newest stuff, and they're going to reevaluate a lot of things. I don't think Street Fighter Five will ever be a game that people are going to be like, let's go back and revisit this and see how people are doing. Like if people say there's going to be a Street Fighter Five tournament, you're going to have some people who are like, you know what, I think I'm just going to keep playing this game whenever Street Fighter Six comes out because I love it so much. You're going to have those people playing it, but no one who's actually relevant. No, I'm not trying to throw any,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's but Street Fighter Four, if they were to do that with that game, I think it would be exciting too. It wouldn't be on the same level as Marvel,
Yeah.
but
No.
like
Yeah.
but it's still like dang, like these games really brought a lot to the community, and to see it getting this kind of respect so far, after its predecessor came out, it's super cool, super
You
cool.
know what I would have liked? If they would have had like, I think they should have did. Let's just say we keep this lineup. Whatever they got this. I think they should have added a game, one like they did with Melee, and have you vote. And I think that you know some of the games like Third Strike, for instance, right? Used to have a crazy community for that. Used to have a crazy community for excuse me, CVS2. Man, like I would love to see one of those games up there with this amount of money. And the amount of money, guys, I'm talking about, every single game has a minimum. It can go up, but a minimum of $25,000.
That's awesome. So basically, you're saying like a almost like a viewer's choice or something like that, where it's like, you see, they need to do that with two games, and I wouldn't even
Yeah,
care
it
if
needs
they
to be more than one for
like,
sure.
yeah, I feel like they could take 25,000, cut it in half, and split them between the two viewer choice
Shit,
games,
they could.
like,
Yeah.
but just reward the community too, because I feel like one of the things that makes the FGC different is a lot of the competitors are obviously putting money into it, but a lot of people are going and just spectating because they love watching it that much.
Hmm.
So I feel like to give back, you don't necessarily have to go above and beyond as a developer or a TO or anything like that. But let them vote for something. Give the community a chance to say, "Hey, I really, really like this game." Give them one or two votes. So I think that's a great idea. Like that's something that they should consider doing. It almost like in my mind, I'm like, that's the only way Marvel got up there because that feels random,
Hmm.
but it's refreshing. But then I see Melty Blood, and I'm like, there's no way that happened because who's voting for that? Like other than the
Yeah,
six people
yeah,
playing it.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, yeah, Marvel 3, I think Marvel 3, or just Marvel in general, Marvel's Capcom, even if it was Marvel 2, I'd be like, oh my God. But in Marvel 3, and obviously MVCI, we don't need that up there. Unfortunately, that was the one that's supposed to take off and all that, but Marvel 3 is just the one that's just there. It's gonna be the one, it's gonna sit there, it's gonna keep thriving, man. Like what's it Tong Never Sleeps or Tampa Never Sleeps? The guy Tong, the guy who runs that, that was his, I mean that's his baby, Marvel 3. He still runs it today and it's up there. And that's cool. That goes to show you like, and it's just the same thing with Melee. That goes to show you when you keep it going and keep it going and keep on running it no matter what they talking about, eventually you can make something out of it. People are just not getting into Melee. And that's so crazy to me. It's so crazy to me. So Marvel 3, you know, online was trash, but at least they had online. How the heck were they keeping Melee alive? They didn't even have online to at least, they were doing this offline, everything offline. That's crazy.
that community was something. That was the probably the
Yes.
most impressive community the FGC's ever seen.
It has
Because,
to
like you
be.
said, we didn't have the same networking option. Now, I was a part of that community. I loved that community, at least the part that I was, involved in. It was great. It was absolutely great, and I couldn't move on from the game. Like you've seen me play Ultimate. Like I'm super stubborn. I keep trying to play it like it's Melee. I'll tell you exactly what I need to be doing, then I'll start playing it like it's Melee. So it's like I couldn't get over that part of it, but like to be able to hold a game up throughout all of that, I think is super impressive. And obviously, I didn't do that myself. I was kind of like just over it whenever it died. I liked watching it, but I didn't actually play or support it. But the fact that the community was able to do that does show that, hey, maybe it's worth really sticking with whatever fighting games you love because
Yeah. Yeah.
Marvel got a shot. Melee's about to have some cool stuff going with it. See
And,
what
and,
you
and
will.
yeah, and I actually hope that they keep, you know, they keep a game. Like maybe you can vote to keep a game on or something. Like I don't want this to be the last time a game like Marvel shows up. And the sucky thing about being in the FGC is, most people are going for that dream of sponsorships or, I think that's the ultimate goal, right? To get something that be able to get paid for what you love to do. And with a lot of these games, you're not going to be able to do that some of the times, unless we're talking about getting paid from a tournament, but if we're talking about sponsors and getting those people to, send you to these tournaments and pay for your hotel and pay for your flight and all this good stuff, it's going to be hard to do it with a game like Third Strike. They're not going to really do that for you. And I hope that they start to, and it's kind of hard for me to say this, right? Because if you look at a game like League of Legends, it's one game, right? The community is League of Legends. It's not the, the MGC, the MOBA game community or something, where you have all these MOBAs and I'm over here competing in this one, you're competing in that one. No, it's one game. So it's easier to sponsor these players and stuff. And we have, the FGC, but we have multiple games. You see it right here. This is 8 games right here. And this doesn't even scratch the surface of the amount of games that's going to be played when you go there. You're going to see so many games that it's ridiculous. People, you're going to be like, man, they still playing that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, all right. So that actually made something pop up into my mind that I'd never thought about before. But what if they did divide the FGC into like circuits, and they made it so that, hey, these are the games in this circuit, these are the games in this, and you basically have to be efficient at all of them to enter a circuit, and kind of try to, like. I feel like that would be something that would be pretty cool for it, because everyone would watch all of them, like as in terms of the spectator aspect. But then the actual competitors would be like, well, if I'm going to learn this game, I might as well learn this, this, and this, because it's all part of the same circuit. And I need to be able to compete at a high level in all of them.
That'd be cool.
But, I mean, I just don't see what you can really do, because what you're saying is that is the fatally flawed aspect of the FGC. Because
and I think that's one of the reasons why, if you would ask me like, hey man, what do you think the reason is that the FGC are doing all this, man, but you can't really come up like that. And one of the reasons for sure is open bracket tournaments, right? Anybody can join the tournament, but at the same time, people are never going to want that to go away, because it's also so beautiful. Because you get players like Smug that can come up. He starts off as, who is this guy? Or, oh, he's really good online. Ninja Killer. Come on, man, come to this tournament. He can just join. Because realistically, who is he before he starts doing those tournaments? To everybody, to everybody. So like, of course, Sonic Fox and all of them know him, but he's not gonna be able to join the tournament because he's not one of the top people already or something like that. You can't just get into the LCS for League of Legends. So I love open bracket. Like, that means me and you, we could say, hey man, Eric, let's plan a trip to CEO. By the way, we're going to CEO, guys. Let's plan a trip to CEO and let's enter this tournament. Wouldn't it suck if you had to already have a resume to get in? That'd be crazy, right? Because that's not what we're used to. So yes, I'm just kind of speaking, because it is almost impossible unless we shift some things for it to be, quote unquote perfect, or, this and that. But I think it is cool, because in the money, just think about how much, like, it would be way more money. People don't realize that if they didn't have 8 games. They had only 2 games, man, the money would be crazy, but it would also not be, people wouldn't like that. Because if I'm a Melty Blood player, what's up? I don't get any money. If I'm a Dragon Ball FighterZ player, I don't get any money. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say, because realistically, the games that would be up here in my mind the most would be Street Fighter and Tekken.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? And it's like, those guys are the ones who get all the money. So I gotta be a Street Fighter player. So I gotta be a Tekken player. Nobody wants to do that. It's cool that we can go down these different avenues and maybe play something we're good at, rather than something that we play just for money. So yeah. So 25,000, like I said, that's really good regardless. For every single game, it's kind of ridiculous. And if they keep doing that, I love it. I don't know what the other tournament's going to do. We're only talking about Evolution right now. That's not every tournament. Now, if every tournament starts adopting that, where they say, okay, we're going to have a minimum prize pool of, even if it's just 10,000. 10,000 is good to me. For every game, that's awesome. Because like I said, you can kind of go where the money's at, because the money's in all of them. You know what I mean? And now, speaking about money, Street Fighter 6, right? Street Fighter 6, Street Fighter 5, we'll talk about Street Fighter 5. Menard D, Capcom Cup champion, 2023. He won,
my bad.
I think it was like 120,000.
Something like that.
Something like that, like 120,000. And to be honest with you, if I had $120,000 right now, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? That's who wouldn't want 120,000 just for playing a video game? It's pretty awesome to me. Now, Street Fighter 6, right after the tournament, I was watching the tournament at a local place called 404 in Atlanta, watching the tournament. And at the very end, they were saying that, oh, we're not going to announce anything for Street Fighter 6. Don't look for it, this and that. And all we're thinking about is, characters or this and that. We're not even thinking about announcements for the next Capcom Cup already. Maybe the Pro Tour, but, I don't know. So then next thing you know, they come with a video. And here's the picture, y'all. And the picture looks terrible on the stream, but that's fine. You can see the numbers there. Total prize over $2 million. It says over $2 million. Right? I didn't even notice that at first. I'm just not noticing that. Over $2 million. The first place gets $1 million. $1 million to one person. Right? First place. And now what they're talking about, just so everybody knows, because I had to look into it myself. And to my understanding, all that money is in Capcom Cup, not in the tournaments,
Not on the tour.
Not in the tour. It's in and see what I thought was $1 million the first place in Capcom Cup, but the other $1 million goes throughout the tour. But no, that's not the case. It's all in Capcom Cup, meaning that if you get in the Capcom Cup, if you get last place, you're getting paid just for getting in. But first place gets money that, we thought we'd never see. $1 million? Huh? You know what I mean? If that crap said $500,000, it would be amazing. We're talking about $1 million. My 7 figures. Huh? And what's your thought, man? Just because you've been in the FGC, longer than me as far as being a competitor. And you were down there in the trenches, a little bit, and you came up. Now you see Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 4. Now we're going to Street Fighter 6. And, whether you may be a guy who really cares about money or not, this is significant, man. What do you think about this? What does this mean to you, the community? What does it mean?
Well, I mean, it's definitely, I think it's healthy for the community for a number of reasons. And, I'll say that because even whenever we didn't have money, you would see the community come together just because they love the sport. And, we live, I've said this in other podcasts, we live in a great area for it. Atlanta may not have the best representation in terms of going out to majors and like doing work. But if you live in Atlanta and you're going to offline practice sessions, offline tournaments, Gwinnett Brawl, shout outs to them, plus 2 on block, all these old tournaments, you know what the energy's like. And I feel like once you put that money there, you revive the community. You're about to have a lot of people coming out. And the cool thing about it is they're not necessarily going out for the money either. It's kind of like the money's there, but that might be their like motivation for getting up, but they don't care about, like, they're not going there because they're like, I have to win the money. They're going there because, like, pretty nasty. Let's see what this person's talking about real quick. And then all of a sudden the old rivalries come back up, and it just makes it more exciting. I think that it'll keep our scene, the Georgia scene specifically, but probably all over the world, like, just it keeps it fresh, keeps it like, people are going to stay on top of their game. We're probably going to see a much higher level, a lot more like competitiveness coming out of these people from the start, just because they know what's on the line. I think it shows that Capcom, whether they are ready or not, are willing to try to compete with Riot in terms of, I don't want my game to lose to money. I don't want my game to just drown because this company that's about to say, you know what, we got League of Legends, which is a monopolized, like, entity in itself. Like you were saying, this is just League of Legends. It's not like the MOBA GC. It's League of Legends. What happens if they're like, and now there's Project L, and that's its own FGC, because we can't compete with that. All of a sudden, it's going to be individuals who are, at grand finals. He's going for $30 million for first place. And it's like, dang, man, what do we do? But I feel like $1 million going towards an open bracket grassroots FGC system is going to be more appealing overall than a sponsored system for $30 million
Hundred
over here
percent,
with
hundred
Project L.
percent. Yeah.
So I feel like Capcom is taking the steps to say for all of you, all of those out there who aren't sponsored, who don't have a foot in the door already, this is it. Not only that, but we are going to have a tour, an actual pro tour. It's not just Capcom Cup, so you get these tournaments along the way, and it's all it does is keep Street Fighter 6 specifically. I don't want to say FGC, but Street Fighter 6 is going to be one of those games that you see people stay on top of from start until end as long as they keep this support going. And it's not, for me, it's not about the money. I would love to win it. I think I'm gonna be pretty good. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself on that one, but I think I'm gonna be pretty good at the game. Will I make a lot of noise? Absolutely. Just watch the podcast and remember the face, and you'll see me soon. But if I don't come across the money, it's one of those things where I feel like my time's not wasted because this is something that I want to do. I like competing, and the fact that I'm able to participate in something that went from not having this $1 million prize pool at the end to having it, or not prize pool, but $1 million first place prize for the Capcom Cup winner. Like being a part of the evolution and everything, that is super cool. So, I'm pretty happy with it. I think both the FGC and Capcom are making really good steps for it. That's job well done to them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For me, man, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of surreal. I do believe that everything happens for a reason. And I'm gonna give y'all a little story. So, me and Eric, a little while back, this is around Street Fighter 5. I don't remember what year, maybe 2018, 2017, something like that. But me and him were supposed to pretty much say, you know what, we're gonna do this 1 year. We're gonna seriously go to these tournaments. We're gonna seriously train, and we're gonna see what comes of it. It didn't get to happen. Had some complications along the way. Some things happened, some things didn't, and now we're here, and we pretty much had that same mindset of, hey man, you and I, we're gonna take it over, you know, and it seems like everything happens for a reason. And what I mean by that is like we came into it at a perfect time. If we had done this in the Street Fighter 5 era, I know you aren't really big on fighting games like that. You're gonna go into this one like you're gonna go into it, but if you rather be playing some RPGs, we know that. And I feel like if you had done the year earlier, you might have been done now. You're like, oh, I gave it my time. Like if it didn't work out, okay, Street Fighter 6, that's cool, but I'm good. And now it's like we didn't get to do that, and it feels like I can feel that hunger. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like I gotta get that year in because I know I got it. You know what I'm saying? With everything that's happened, you know what I'm talking about. It's like, yo, we gotta get this year in and let's do this, man. And it's so perfect because we weren't even thinking about. That's my biggest thing I'm telling people. I wasn't thinking about no $2 million, $1 million. I wasn't thinking about how good Street Fighter 6 was going to be. It was just a thing of, man, let's do it. And it's so great to be able to say, let's do it now rather than what we had. Because we'd
That's
almost be
the
forcing ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And now I feel like I'm forcing myself, of course, no matter what, but it's like, I don't have to if I don't want. I'm good because it feels good. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not really forcing myself because I want to do it. Like it's good. It's a good game, man. It's about like you said it's gonna revive a lot of things. It's just refreshing.
yes.
Before we didn't know what we were gonna have, so it was kind of like okay, whatever. But we see it now, man. And June 2nd can't come any faster. You know what I mean? Like, come on. And the 2 million for me, it's like, man, if I ever thought that, man, I'm gonna go into this, like we pretty much would have been towards the end of Street Fighter 5, and it pretty much would have been limited competition. People weren't really playing like that, especially in Georgia scene. It just it went bad. It went south, and we would have had to do this and do that and do this and do that. And man, we're about to start in the game where, dude, for at least the first 5 years, bumping, bumping, bumping. It's about to be back high it used to be. Players are gonna come from far and wide just because they see this $2 million. Oh my God, I gotta try this game. $2 million, I gotta try for it. And some of those guys they won't get the 2 million, and that's okay. But they're gonna be there competing. It's gonna be wild. Like I don't even know how to explain it. It's gonna be crazy. You gotta be there. You know what I mean? You got to go, see what's up. Even if it's just a spectator, you got to see it because it's going to be wild. The amount of new players that you have. Endon Walker came at the end of Street Fighter 5. Look how ridiculous he was. He had just started. They said he started in like 2021. I mean, my God. You know what I'm saying? He went like that. You've already beaten people that, come on, dude. Your first Cat Cup, you already in it. Like, get out of here with that. But it's awesome, right? Because he's just one of the guys. We haven't seen the other Endon Walkers out there. They're there too. And they're going to come for this game. And it's going to be so amazing. And what's really amazing me about this game and this whole $2 million and the whole Pro Tour and all that stuff, I'm a huge, years ago, I chose League of Legends over the FGC because at the FGC, you had to go to tournaments for the most part to become known, to get the thing up, to get your stuff up. I had to go to Atlanta all the time. I was like, I don't want to do it. I had money like that. And I was just kind of like, I don't know. I am a huge advocate of online. I love being able to just sit on my butt and play online. I love it. Not because I'm lazy. You know what I'm saying? Don't think like that. Y'all let it sit on my butt. Yes, I do. But it's awesome to be able to say, man, I can get the same stuff as the guy spending all that money going to the tournament, right? And some people might say, man, it's kind of crazy that he can get the same opportunity as this guy. He been grinding go to tournaments. Man, it's just as hard. I try to play online. These folks, you get them same people that go to tournaments online because they're trying to get both of them. You know what I'm saying? But regardless, wait.
No, I said that's true. That's true. Like you can't take away from people who are offline or online competitors. And if there is a skill difference, let them get to the offline event and just bop them.
Exactly.
Like, there you go.
Bop them. Exactly.
Yeah, but don't you can't. And I had a lot of time to think about this too. You can never discredit anybody's success. Like, it's not their fault because they didn't sit down and write the rules that say, all right, no matter what, I'm first place in this. Like, no, this person is competing like all of us are. That person won whatever it was they were competing in. They deserve whatever reward they get for it because that's what's laid out. And if you had won it, someone could be looking at you saying the same thing. And you really gotta think about that because I already know people in the FGC. If I were to win something, they'd be like, huh? How did he do that? There's no doubt in my mind that would happen. So I'm not about to do that crap to anybody. I don't care if it is, someone from our scene who I have a 100% win rate against.
What about
props to you.
Minardi?
There's one exception in the FGC. His name is Minardi. No. I think he was the best player at Capcom Cup at that moment, and that's it. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Props to him. He won it, and it was a good showing. He took the best character in the game in Luke. He added his style of pushing the pace, a little bit of wild child, whatever you want to call it, and nobody could figure him out.
Nope.
What are you supposed to do? He did what he needed to do. He won his prize. Props to you. That's it. I can break it down and tell you why I give him grief. Would I give him grief to his face? Absolutely, I would. But I would also say good stuff.
Of course, yeah.
I would definitely say good stuff to start it off because he won. He has my respect in that regard. So,
if he was my boy, especially, I'd be like, yeah, you won, and I can't say nothing about it. But yeah, let's watch this part right here real quick. What are you doing right here? You know what I mean? So, but yeah, like you said, you can't take it away from anybody, man. It's awesome. So yeah, I mean, just to close out with that, y'all. I mean, the 2 million for me is awesome because the community is about to really burst. And it's really about, like I said, you're going to see a lot of old faces, a lot of new faces, a lot of current faces. And it's going to be another time to grind for the next. I think this game's probably going to do the same thing, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 years. And the way it's going, it's kind of hard. For me, so real quick, Good to Gear Strive. We talking about Good to Gear Strive and what it could do, yada, yada, yada. See, Good to Gear Strive needs a whole new overhaul. I feel like this game could be around and all they have to do. See, Good to Gear Strive feels like they can just keep adding characters and we're going to be like, oh my God, yay. No. Street Fighter 6 seems like it just has to add characters and it's good to go. You know what I'm saying?
The mechanics will carry the game. The mechanics make the game fun. You could literally put little shadows up there with no personalities at all, just the mechanics, and give them one punch button, one kick button, one special move a pop.
Yeah, they're really doing
You
this.
would
They're
have
really doing
fun
this
with that
smart,
game.
and I hope MK12 actually does it smart too, because I like Mortal Kombat, and I do want them to do something that I'll say, okay, I do want to try this out.
Yeah,
But if
same
they
here.
go
Same here.
anything by some MK11, I'm good. I'm gonna try it out because I do like Mortal Kombat, but I ain't about to.
And just a little bit of stuff for you to y'all to possibly like, look out for. As Mom 92 has said, we are going to be at CEO,
Yeah.
but it's into a few tournaments. We're and it's one of those things that's super cool because we were planning on doing the year thing. Stuff came up. Now it's not even that we're planning it. It's that stuff is like it's already solidified. It's
Plan,
concrete.
yeah.
Like we're in. I have flights booked. Like I'm good.
Yeah.
Like I'm good. I'm ready. I think I have 2 flights booked. I have permission from my wife to take her car down to the CEO. Like I'm good. So this is stuff that's going to happen. Now whether or not I drown in pools, that's another story. But I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I'm not drowning in pools. So
Yeah, I
here we
can't see
go.
myself drowning in pools as much as I'm a super confident guy when it comes to a lot of things, especially things that I'm in practicing in or that I achieve to be. And I never want to seem like a cocky dude, right? I never want to seem like, oh man, he's just, he's well. I don't really care what people say, but I don't want to seem like I'm cocky, like I'm saying like I'm not gonna drown in pools. And I don't, and it's not even because of a safe net, like well, if I say this and if I do it, they're gonna be like, because it's like whatever, but I really don't see it. Like I don't see myself doing this for a year and being, at the bottom. It's almost impossible for me. That's how I feel. That's the mindset. And it's like if I really do it and and I feel the same way about, some people in my squad or whatever. And it's like, it's just one of those things of I already got out of pools once. I'm gonna do it again. You know what I'm saying? I got out of pools, I broke my, my pool's cherry, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? And it sucks to say, but some people, man, they'll play forever and they never got pools.
It's
And
true.
that's just the way
It's
things go
true.
sometimes. Whether it's either how your pools go, could be the people in your pools, could be whatever. Because some people, yes, they have some easier pools, and some people get the death pool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah, my first time getting out of the pool, 2017. Never forget. TFC.
Yep. Now, once you get out, y'all, you'll never forget.
And
Once you're out,
it
you're
won't be
out.
the last time. It will not be the last time ever.
It's cool, man. Because pools is like the mini of the mini. Oh, last thing, y'all. Last thing I did want to say: team tournaments. I hope they bring team tournaments back in full force. It's going to be hard in the very beginning because of the amount of players that are going to be playing these games and they want to do things in a timely manner. Just imagine as a TO, there's no way I'm going to be able to run a big team tournament and then all these players, because this Evo is going to have, in my opinion, they had 5,000 for Street Fighter 5 when it first came out. There's no way they won't have 5,000 plus. I mean, if it's Street Fighter 6, it's going to be crazy, and there's no way they can run team tournaments. But I'm really hoping that they start doing team tournaments heavy. I think that needs to be a thing, like heavy.
I'm 100% with you.
Yeah.
It brings a complete. Even whenever they were doing the online team tournaments, like whenever COVID at first started, I think they did it in Guilty Gear and in Street Fighter 5.
Yeah, even
It's
even if it's just
it's
online, yes.
Yeah, like it's something about watching those things that it's super cool, especially whenever you have people like no, because we saw Sonic Fox and was that in a Guilty Gear? I don't remember what it was, but like whenever you have like Punk and Minna teaming up on a team tournament, it's like everybody in the FGC is putting turrets on their heads, and that kind of stuff is cool because
It's
they're
cool.
like. Someone's got to take it. And then you have those crazy folks who are spectators who are like, you know what? Here's your bounty. Anybody who does this, I'm gonna PayPal you $200. All of a sudden, there's more incentive. You got people like going and playing their hearts out, and that's what you want to see. You just want to see the heart whenever you're watching as
You
a
got
spectator.
you got your
whenever-
boys with you. You're like you
Yes.
playing with your boys. Like come on. You know what
So
I
it's
mean?
yeah, but I feel like team tournaments are super underrated, and I'd love to see them turn into a regular thing too, especially with a game like Street Fighter 6, where people can play their style. Like it's not like we're just going to
Yes.
be watching. Oh, this Nikali's about to play. This Nikali's about to play. This Chun Li's about to play. Like okay, that's not exciting. Where it's like I don't know if he can beat his Nikali because his Nikali's doing all this, and he always perfect parries the drive in pad instead. And even though it's less damage, he gets that nasty setup afterwards, and he's building more meter and blah blah blah. It's like,
Yep.
dang man. So see, who knows?
Yeah. So next week, guys, I want to dive into the characters of Street Fighter 6. We're gonna talk about, so y'all know, it's gonna be at least one segment where we talk about, and I may have somebody else on when we do it too, just to see. Maybe I don't know. But we're gonna talk about the characters that we're most looking forward to. May go over a couple of videos with the characters, or maybe something that, or pictures, whatever. But we'll talk about them and really dive into like the type of, I guess, players we want to be, players we are, and what we were looking for in a character, and if those characters fit the bill. So, yep. I appreciate y'all tuning in to the Growth Experiment. This is your host, Mom92.
And Stash.
Peace.